All right, everyone, today I'm going to be talking about why having a joint account might not be the best idea, and actually having separate accounts or a single account holder, if you're married today, could be the smart move. We're going to go over why. So, first and foremost, if you have a joint account, what does that mean? Well, if you have an account where both your names are on it, think like a brokerage account, so stocks you own inside of there. Once you pass away, the other owner, so let's say you have a husband and a wife, husband were to pass, the wife immediately takes over the account. She is now the sole owner of it. Now, what's important here is the cost basis. So for those who don't know, what's a cost basis? It's what you actually bought the stock for. So let's imagine this couple right here, 20 years ago, they bought Apple stock. All right, and we're going to use made up numbers here, but let's say they bought it for $50 a share. And currently, right, Apple stock went up to $500 a share. It 10x'd in value over 20 years. Okay? Well, if that's the case here, when this husband passes away in a joint account, how the cost basis works is that it'll go up by 50%. All right? For those who didn't know that, yes, when one person passes, your joint account does get a step up in cost basis. Not a full step up, but a 50% step up. Meaning half the distance here, right? Now your new cost basis would not be 50, right? It'd be closer to like 275. Okay? Now, why I mention this with a joint account, right? Because if one of these people were to pass, both of them get a 50% step up. Now, what happens in a individual account? Well, it's actually a little bit different. So if we have an individual that owns an account, let's say the husband, in this case, owns an individual account. Same thing, they own Apple, he had the same thing there, had a giant step up in cost basis, right, potential here, and he passes away. Now, if you don't have a transfer on death, which I'd recommend you have one on here, basically it's a beneficiary on an individual account, you'll skip probate, and again, it'll go right to the beneficiary. So kind of similar to the joint, except now this beneficiary, they inherit the account right away. If you don't have this, it'll go to your estate, right? And it'll go according to your will and your trust, which will go through probate. If you have a TFD account, it won't. So that's the key here. But here, if the husband passes away and the money goes to the wife, she's going to get, if it's an individual account now, 100% step up in cost basis. Meaning that Apple stock that they bought for $50, that's now worth $500. If she were to sell that stock the same day her husband passed away, she would pay $0 in taxes on that stock because she got a full 100% step up in cost basis. So why is this important to know? Well, if you're somebody who has a joint account today, and maybe it's fairly large and you have a lot of different accounts in there, you might want to think about how you actually own that account. Because it has to be in these accounts for a year for it to trigger what I'm talking about. Meaning, if you're in a joint account today and you want to switch to an individual, after 1 year of it being in the individual account, you'll now get the 100% step up in cost basis versus the 50%. Make sense so far? Okay. Now, why is a big kind of thing here? Which one should you do? Well, in a lot of cases, where let's say husband and wife, all right, kind of typical scenario we're looking at, if the husband is older than the wife, and this is kind of an average scenario, the person that we expect to pass away first should own the account. Right? Now, if we're not sure, if we're both the same age, or maybe we both feel like we pass away at the same time, we can't really tell, then having a joint account, might be the solution because no matter who passes away, you're getting a 50% step up in cost basis. Now, with an individual account, if the person who passes away does not own the account, there is no step up in cost basis. There's a risk, right? Because if the husband owns the individual, but the wife passes away first, there is no step up in cost basis that we receive. Where if it's the husband passes away, you get 100% step up. So one thing to kind of look at here is see, all right, husband is 65 years old, wife is 60. Odds are, husband's gonna pass away first in most scenarios. Why? Men typically don't live as long as women. Women have a 5 to 10 years longer livability, right? They're a little bit longer on that end. Where on the husband's side, I pass away, he's also older by 5 years. So odds are husband will pass away first. I would say an individual with the husband could make sense here. If they're both healthy today. Now let's say one of them has a terminal disease where they feel like they might pass away in the next couple of years, very likely, then they're the ones that should own the individual account. Like I mentioned, you have a year for this to settle, so you can change this. You can transfer money from one person to the other based on how things happen within there. But no one talks about this having a step up. And it's actually a very useful feature, and if used the right way, can save you a lot of money in taxes. So another scenario here, right? Let's say, again, like we have maybe same age, 60 and 60, could be a toss-up, all right? You might want to go joint here. Or you still might say husband will probably pass away sooner, right, because the males. Now, where it gets kind of hard, if the male is 55 and the wife is 60, now I would say actually a joint account is what I probably would recommend. If not knowing the health, they're both kind of the same health-wise, because now they both will probably end up passing away at a similar time. Tough to tell who's going to pass away first. So, in terms of these kind of accounts, folks, you can change them. I would definitely look into it every year. You might want to adjust how that account is held. For a lot of people, they do these joint accounts when they really should be doing an individual account. Or someone has an individual account and they should be doing a joint account. So it's important to know the difference between the two of them, and it could be a mistake having maybe a joint, individual. You could have two different accounts too. You could have both of these going on here as well. So again, it all depends on the person, but definitely look into it, make sure you're doing the right thing for you. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to our channel for more content like this, and we'll see you soon.